Hello everyone, welcome back to Wild Approach. My name is Macy Lou, and in today's video we are going to be talking about 7 native shrubs for your butterfly garden. And in this particular episode we're going to be focusing on host plants specifically. Okay, so I'm going to say one thing in this video before we move on, and that is that I live in East Tennessee. So when I talk about native plants, I'm talking about my area and surrounding areas. For the most part, my videos are going to be talking about native eastern United States plants. Northeast, southeast, and sometimes the Midwest, and sometimes a mix of all those. And it just really depends, but that is the typical region. I don't normally talk about the western United States very much. I don't normally talk about the desert plants, and so if the desert plants are something that you're interested in, you will have to seek out different content for that. Okay, so back to the video. And the first shrub on our list is Spicebush, Lindura benzoin. And this shrub is a host to, of course, the Spicebush swallowtail butterfly, and some say it's also a host to the eastern tiger swallowtail butterflies. So what are some attributes about this shrub? I will give you a list right now. First up, you need to know its height. It can get 6 to 12 feet tall. It gets yellow blooms, and a male plant is needed to pollinate the female plants. It prefers part shade, moist, medium soil, and it tolerates deer, drought, if given enough shade. It's not good for full sun and drought at the same time. But if it has enough shade, it can handle some drought. It can handle heavy shade, clay soil, wet soil, and black walnut trees. And its fall color is yellow. Some other notes I want to add to this list is that in my garden, I've noticed that it needs shade and it needs moisture. But we already kind of talked about that. But some people have grown it in full sun. So I think that you need to look at your local area and see what kind of conditions does it prefer in your area. Even if it is native to the northern states and the southern states, it could need different conditions in the northern states than it does in the southern states, and it might be different than what you expect. But in general, it likes part shade and moist soil. Here is the native range of Spicebush in the green according to bonap.org. Hi guys, could you hit the like button underneath this video? It helps me know which videos resonate most with you guys. Do you need a short, quick guide to get started in wildlife gardening? Well, turns out I've got just the thing. I just came out with a new free ebook just for you, and it's called A Wild Approach to Gardening 101, and it's available on my website today at macylou.com/shop. It's free, so go check it out. What do you have to lose? Next up is high bush blueberry. High bush blueberry, Vaccinium corbosum, is a host to the Henry's elfin butterflies, the brown elfin butterflies, and the striped hair streaks. So, what do we know about high bush blueberry? Well, it gets 6 to 12 feet tall. It gets white or pink bell or urn-shaped flowers. It likes full sun or partial shade. It is found naturally growing in bogs and swampy areas, and also in high elevations. It prefers 5.0 pH soils, and that means it is good to plant with other acid-loving plants. It's resistant to compaction, fire, and wet soil. So if you have any of those issues on your property, think about using this. Fall color can vary, but is usually very pretty and red or orange. I love the fall color of any of our native blueberries. It's just so pretty for the most part, and highly recommend it. It's gorgeous. This plant also has edible berries. Who doesn't love blueberries? Well, I guess anyone who's allergic or something, but like other than that, blueberries are pretty darn good, if I do say so myself. And so here is the native range of high bush blueberry in the green according to bonap.org. Number 3 on our list is flame azalea, which is Rodendrin kalandulancium. And it provides both adult food for the adult butterflies and caterpillar food for the larvae of the butterflies. And that would be the striped hair streak. It is a host for the striped hair streak butterfly. And the flame azalea can get 4 to 15 feet tall. It gets yellow, gold, orange, pink, or red blooms. It prefers full sun, part shade, or deep shade. I think in my area, it's more of a shade-loving plant, so yeah, think about that. It may depend on where you live, how much sun it can handle. And it is a moist, well-drained, acidic soil-loving plant. It is rabbit-resistant. And the fall color is a subdued yellow or red, according to the internet. And I think that what I love about this plant, I don't have one, but what I love about this plant from what I've seen is that it is a really great plant to attract the butterflies for nectar, even though it's also a host plant. So I love that it can do both. I love that it's like this bright orange, flame azalea, right? This bright flame in a garden, in like a woodland garden typically. But it is one of those that can get it's a large range, 4 to 15 feet tall. That's a pretty big range, so not really sure how tall it would get in my garden, so just something to think about. But here is the native range of flame azalea according to bonap.org in the green. Number 4 on our list is an evergreen shrub, and it is mountain laurel. Mountain laurel, aka Calmia latifolia, provides both adult food for butterflies and food for the larvae as well, just like our flame azalea does. It hosts the brown elfin butterfly. It gets 6 to 15 feet tall. It gets pink, white, purple, or a combo of those in each bloom. It prefers part shade and moist, humus-rich, well-drained, acidic soils. Did I say humus? I think I meant to say humus. I think I read that as hummus, but I think I know it's humus. It is resistant to compaction and deer. Mountain laurel does not grow well in heavy clay soils or wet soils. Mountain laurel is evergreen, so no fall color to speak of there. But think about it, an evergreen shrub for your native garden. This is one of those plants that if you have gone on any hikes in the eastern United States, in the woods, in the mountains, you've probably seen mountain laurel, and if you've been lucky enough to see it in bloom, you've probably been in awe of it. It is a truly gorgeous shrub, and I am jealous of anyone who can grow it. I haven't tried to grow it yet, so maybe I will, but I've had some bad experiences trying to grow rhododendron, so since they are very similar, I'm kind of scared to try to grow mountain laurel because I'm afraid I will be disappointed yet again. But we'll see. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll try it because why not? Why not try it? But here is the native range of mountain laurel in the green according to bonap.org. And number 5 on our list is New Jersey tea, which I'm probably not going to be able to pronounce its scientific name, but I'm going to give it a try. Ceanothus americanus. And it is a host to the summer azure butterfly and the mottled dusky wing butterfly. When I tell you what something is a host to, it's coming from my Butterflies of Tennessee book, or it's coming from the North Carolina Extension Gardener Toolbox website, or both. Like, I kind of use both of these. Sometimes I look on wildflower.org, but it really depends because there's a lot of times wildflower.org doesn't have the larval information for the butterflies, so I have to use these other sources most often. But New Jersey tea gets 2 to 3 feet tall. It prefers full sun or part shade. The flowers are cream, tan, white, or pink. And it prefers well-drained sandy or rocky soil. Now listen to this. It is resistant to, are you ready? Black walnut, drought, dry soil, poor soil, and urban conditions. So because of its small stature and because of its resistance to all of those types of things, highly recommend this for any of you who have a small garden, an urban garden. Anything where it's just not as big as you would maybe want it to be, and so you kind of have to pick these smaller shrubs. And as you can see, when I go down the list of shrubs in these 2 different videos, it's hard to come by a small native shrub, but they do exist, and this is one of them. It does have some issues to think about though. It is prone to root rot in wet soils and canker disease, and it can be tricky to grow in certain sites. I've heard people say that the rabbits get after theirs. I've heard people say that their shrub just kind of, their New Jersey tea just kind of disappears and then reappears and like just does this weird disappearing and reappearing act. And, you know, some years it does better than other years. Some years it kind of looks sad, and then other years it looks more lush. So, might be a little finicky in some ways, but it is resistant to so many things. So you wouldn't really expect it to be finicky, right? So it's just one of those plants to kind of think about, try it. If you have a really small garden and you don't have the space for the larger shrubs, it's worth a try, even with those issues, in my opinion. I actually planted 3 in my garden. I have 2 in my courtyard garden because it is a very small, tight space, but I still wanted some shrubs in there. And I planted 1 in my arbor garden. So I will be keeping an eye on those and seeing how they do, because I just started seeing the rabbits coming back. Hadn't seen a rabbit in like a year or a year and a half or something. It was a long time. I hadn't seen a rabbit in my garden for a long time. I used to get them every year. But no, they're back. They're back. So they could chomp on them. I do not know. That being said, fall color on New Jersey tea, from everything that I've read, is just not very showy and just not really anything to speak of. If that changes, you guys will know, because I'll show you in a fall garden tour, most likely. If something is just like, wow, it's actually got this beautiful fall color, then I'm going to share that, of course. But as far as I've read, as far as I've looked on the internet, I haven't really found much fall color to speak of on this one. And the native range of New Jersey tea is right here on the screen right now in the green, according to boneapp.org. Number 6 on our list is Deerberry. Deerberry, aka Vaccinium staminium, it is a host plant for the red spotted purple and the brown elfin. And it gets 5 to 15 feet tall. I know, it's a pretty wide range. Green, pink, or white blooms. It prefers full sun or part shade and acidic, rich, well-drained soils. It's resistant to drought and fire, which is pretty cool. And it does have some issues. Well, one issue, really. It gets chlorosis, yellowing of the leaves, if it's in too high of a pH soil. So just keep that in mind. It's going to be more toward the acidic type spectrum, end of the spectrum, I should say. And the fall color is typically reds or purples, because again, it's a blueberry. It's gonna probably have fantastic fall color, you guys. Like, blueberries just, they're so striking with the fall color. They can't really be beat, I don't think. I mean, sumacs can get pretty striking too, but blueberry just crazy, crazy good fall color. And that being said, here is the native range of Deerberry in the green, according to boneapp.org. Number 7. So number 7 I've talked about in a previous video, because this plant can be a tree or a shrub. It depends on what you want to train it as. You can train it as a tree, you can train it as a shrub, but it is American plum. American plum, Prunus americana, is a keystone species and a potential host for the eastern tiger swallowtail butterflies and many, many more moths and butterfly species. I can't even name all the species because, again, it is a keystone shrub. So, since it is in the Prunus genus, it is second only to oaks in how many Lepidoptera it can host. So this is a powerhouse shrub or tree, and as I said in the previous video, it can get really tall, it can become a tree, but you can also keep it trimmed as a shrub. You can grow it as a hedge, and that is my recommendation. So it provides food for the adult butterflies also, though, via the flowers. And I saw this for the first time this year. In the spring, in the early spring when the flowers were out, I found a red admiral on this shrub. And I was so excited because I hadn't seen butterflies utilizing the flowers yet in the years past. And maybe it just finally bloomed enough at one time that it attracted a red admiral, and it was just really cool. So this is one of those that is a twofer. It is giving you food for the larva, and it's giving you food for the adults. And it's kind of a triple whammy, because it's not only that, but it is a keystone species, so it's providing a ton of food for a ton of caterpillars. Not only that, but it can provide food for you as well, in the sense that it produces edible fruits. So let's talk about it. Okay, American plum can get 10 to 20 feet tall. So that 20 feet, that's what we mean by tree. So like if it's a tree, it's probably gonna get really tall. So you can trim it into a single trunk, and you can kind of train it into a tree. But it is, in my opinion, a little bit more of a challenge, because this is a shrub that likes to sucker. It likes to send up shoots all over the place, to its left, to its right, to its front, to its back. And so this is really one of those shrubs that is best to use in a natural or naturalistic garden, a wild garden, and or a hedge. A hedge or a hedgerow. I used to think a hedge and hedgerow were the same thing. Technically, there is a different definition between the two, but for the purposes of this video, we're just going to kind of pretend they're the same thing. In other words, you could create a multi-species hedgerow, and you could put American plum in it, with the realization or the caveat that since it sends up suckers from its base and a few inches or even a couple feet away from its base, because of that, recognize that it needs to be a naturalistic hedgerow, because it is going to create these shoots around the other species in the hedgerow. So your other option is to create a single species hedgerow or hedge with just American plum, just the whole hedge American plum. And that would be pretty cool too. But multi-species hedgerows are usually better, not only when it comes to diversity of wildlife, but also just for resilience, because if a disease or a pest comes into the environment and just wreaks havoc on the prunus species, then your whole hedge could be decimated, right? And so it's usually best to plant multiple species together. But again, because of the suckering of the shrub, just remember, it's probably going to send suckers around the other shrubs in the hedgerow. So try not to get discouraged by that. If you have to, you can trim those back. You can dig them up. You can try to transplant them, give them away to friends, and they may or may not survive, because it can be tricky to get these root suckers to transplant well, because it can be tricky to get enough root. That being said, it's a keystone and it's amazing, and I highly recommend it. And let's just talk about all its features. So we already said it gets 10 to 20 feet tall. It gets white blooms in early spring, and full sun is the best. Some say that they can grow it in part shade, but in my garden, they show that they prefer lots of sun. I have these plums growing in multiple areas of my garden, and they love the sun. The areas where I planted them in a shadier spot, like 4 hours of sun, 5 hours of sun, or less, they're not growing as well. They're not growing as dense. They're not growing as lush. They look more like, I don't know, wispy, I guess is the word. The shadier side is pretty much barren of any branches, while the sunnier side has more branches but still looks wispy. So I say this to tell you that they prefer full sun, and it is a lot harder to grow them in shade, and they will not produce as many flowers or fruits in the shade. So please grow them in full sun if at all possible. That being said, when I planted my habitat hedge and I started my plums in habitat hedge, that was an 8+ hour full sun garden at the time, and as the plums and as the elderberries and as the red buds and the black cherry have all grown up together over time, it is now a shady spot from the shrubs and the trees. But they're still up in the canopy right now, and they're competing, but they're not competing so much that they're not producing plums. That being said, they are not mature plums yet, and I have not gotten mature plums off of these yet. So either they didn't have enough blooms last year to have good enough pollination last year, or wildlife is eating them before they even ripen. So in other words, I haven't tried to eat one of these plums yet, but they are edible. You just have to make sure you take the seeds out, because the seeds are not. So full sun is best. Would not recommend planting it in a shady garden at all. And average dry to medium well-drained soils is what they prefer, and they are resistant to fire. Pretty cool. And here are some potential issues, which I kind of already covered. They will sucker a lot. Make sure you plant in a naturalistic garden. We already talked about that. And you can use the suckering as an asset if you are doing a hedge. And it's not for formal gardens with tight edges. Just don't, if you're like a stickler for perfection and you want tight, tidy edges everywhere in your garden, you don't want to have a natural area, don't plant this. Just don't do it. It's a keystone, so in my opinion, it is worth it. It is worth any of the difficulties with the maintenance. But if you can't stand anything messy at all, you're not gonna like this plant. Just saying. Okay, the fall color can vary quite a lot from plant to plant, and it's fun to see the different colors. It can have colors ranging from golden to oranges, peaches, pinks, and deep reds. Sometimes more than one of those colors on the same shrub. Sometimes it has multiple colors on each leaf. It's pretty cool. I kind of think of it as almost rainbow in the fall. But I also have multiple shrubs, so it could be kind of an optical illusion. You know, I'm seeing all these shrubs right next to each other with the different colors. And yeah, my favorite is when they get the deep red, almost like a pink red, but just such a deep, almost crimson deep red. I just love it. I love that. Okay, and here is the native range of American plum in the green according to bonapp.org. Guys, I think I covered everything. If I left anything out, let me know in the comments down below. Ask any questions you have about these 7 native shrubs for your butterfly garden. And they provide host to these butterflies, but some of them also provide nectar. So let me know what you think in the comments. Which one was your favorite, and are you excited for the next shrub video, which will also be about 7 native shrubs for your butterfly garden, except more geared toward the nectar side of things. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to leave a like down below and hit the subscribe button if you don't want to miss out on the next videos that I have coming up. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys. Hey guys, don't forget to follow me on Blue Sky and Instagram. These are the 2 best social media accounts other than YouTube, where you can find me and you can see me post photos of the garden, thoughts on wildlife, and more. So don't forget to follow me over there. Brand new items are now available in the shop. Thanks so much to viewers like you for supporting the channel. To support the channel, like the video, comment, and subscribe. You can also support my work by buying art from me at macylou.com. Thanks for watching!